وَمَنْ كَشَفَ عَوْرَةَ أَخِيهِ الْمُسْلِمِ, and whoever exposes the shortcoming or sin of their Muslim brother or sister, كَشَفَ اللَّهُ عَوْرَتَهُ حَتَّى يَفْضَحَهُ بِهَا فِي بَيْتِهِ. Allah will expose his or her own shortcomings and sins to the point that He will expose him or her even if they were inside their house. Trying to hide from everyone, He'll expose them. Let's say that you know something bad about someone and they went astray. Instead of making it worse by talking about them and spreading rumors about them, or even if it's not a rumor, you say something about them, whether directly or indirectly or passively, don't do that. Because anybody who hears you, you may be teaching them to feel better about their sin when you expose others. Or you will help that person to continue in their sin, or it will come to haunt you as well. Listen to what the Prophet ﷺ said. مَنْ سَتَرَ عَلَى أَخِيهِ سَتَرَهُ اللَّهُ. مَنْ سَتَرَ عَوْرَةَ أَخِيهِ سَتَرَهُ اللَّهُ. سَتَرَ اللَّهُ عَوْرَتَهُ. Whoever covers up a shortcoming or a sin of their brother or sister, Allah will cover up a shortcoming or a sin of theirs on the Day of Judgment. And other scholars like Ibn al-Qayyim said, even in this life. وَمَنْ كَشَفَ عَوْرَةَ أَخِيهِ الْمُسْلِمِ, and whoever exposes the shortcoming or sin of their Muslim brother or sister, كَشَفَ اللَّهُ عَوْرَتَهُ حَتَّى يَفْضَحَهُ بِهَا فِي بَيْتِهِ. Allah will expose his or her own shortcomings and sins to the point that He will expose him or her even if they were inside their house. Trying to hide from everyone, He'll expose them. So don't expose people, my dear brothers and sisters. Guide them, make dua for them. You can warn others that you know if they are subjected at risk with them. If they're lying to them and they're going to take them somewhere bad and you know that person, go up to them and say, brother, sister, I give you advice and I warn you. This person does 1, 2, 3. Doesn't matter what they say. This is, you are commanded, and if you are able to save your brother and sister, save them, inshallah. The last ways that we are patient are 3, and they're just quickly. There are times when it is better to be patient, recommended but not obliged. And that is patience with recommended acts, like the 12 sunnahs after your prayer. Some people find it hard to continue them, be consistent on them. Well, you require steadfastness to continue with them. But even if you don't, you're not sinned. But if you do, it's recommended. Number 4, where patience is disliked or steadfastness is disliked. So when is that? It is when there are things that are disliked acts in Islam, or things that morally are not so good but not so serious. And convincing yourself it's okay, right, is disliked. So things that are makruh, disliked in Islam but not very serious, it's also disliked to convince yourself that it's okay to do. We discussed and had a talk on sins in one of my lectures on YouTube about disliked things and halal and haram. You can look at what disliked things are. And finally, the last one of these 5 is steadfastness on things that are neutral. Whether you're steadfast on them, good for you. Whether you're not, there's no harm. And usually they are worldly or material benefits in life, such as being steadfast in making business profit. Obviously, you need to have patience and steadfastness. Worldly education, studying and all that. Trying to get back a debt that you lent to someone and you're steadfast and you continue to try and hold yourself back, and so on. All these are worldly material things that what we call are mubah. Being steadfast in them is neutral. You're not rewarded by Allah if you are steadfast in making profit. You're not rewarded by Allah if you are steadfast in asking for your right back, unless there is something attached to religion in it. So for example, if I am being steadfast in my business to make a profit, and part of my intention to make a profit is in order to feed my family or people who are dependent on me so that they don't need anyone else, or to give sadaqah and zakat, then I hit 2 birds with 1 stone in that patience. So my dear brothers and sisters, today we spoke about one aspect of steadfastness, and we didn't focus too much on the calamities and hardships that you go through. However, I will just recite and conclude with one passage of the Quran in relation to the hardships and calamities that are beyond our control that happen to you. And I think this verse in the Quran will suffice. Allah says, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون أولئك عليهم صلوات من ربهم ورحمة وأولئك هم المهتدون. In Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter 2, verses 155 to 157, Allah says, "We shall certainly, without any doubt, test you by afflicting you with a few things every now and then. By afflicting you with a little bit of fear sometimes, hunger sometimes, loss of properties sometimes, and lives sometimes, and fruits sometimes. Give good news then to those who remain patient, those who when any affliction smites them, they say and they act upon the following words. Indeed, we belong to Allah and it is to Him that we are destined to return. Upon them will be the blessings and mercy of their Lord, and it is they who are rightly guided." May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the strength of patience in times of calamity and hardships, in times of suffering, and to reward us and replace us with the suffering and pain with a relief and an opening afterwards. For with every hardship there are many eases, and after every perseverance there is strength and growth. And Allah does not demote you except to promote you. He does not harm you except to benefit you. And Allah does not take away from you something except because He's going to give you. So stay steadfast and assume well of Allah, and know that Allah does not ask you or burden you to do more than what you can. And may Allah make us and help us to be strong in steadfastness with our obligations, and to help us in being steadfast against our temptations and desires of sin. Ameen. And to assist us in battling against the pressures of outside people and enemies and those within. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. May Allah bless you, brothers and sisters. Wa sallallahu ala nabina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.